Okay, we had the new parts come through from the factory. We'll get them on the car ahead of FP1.
Hey, what's up guys, aarava here, and welcome back to the episode of my F1 2018 career mode, episode number 112 today for the Canadian Grand Prix in Season 6. If you guys did miss the previous one then at the Monaco Grand Prix, then be sure to check that one out before you see this one there. Quite an interesting situation at Monaco with a bit of a spoiler alert pile-up situation, so definitely worth checking out before you see the rest of this one. But heading into Canada and Montreal, we've got that minor ERS update to the car, so hopefully the ERS will be a little bit easier to manage than it has been at the very start of this season. But Renault continue to bring upgrades and continue to hold this advantage, on paper at least, on the performance chart. Of course, they've had a fair bit of reliability issues and kind of bad luck in a way at the beginning of this season, so we actually still lead both championships in that sense, with both myself and Verstappen 1-2 in the Drivers' Championship and Red Bull Honda at the lead of the Constructors. So, you know, still that performance chart's not really doing too much for them. They need to kind of sort out the reliability, and also Ricciardo's just had a similar bad luck that he had at Red Bull pretty much. It's followed him over to the Renault Works team, it would seem. But you've had also some big updates then from the other midfield teams. You know, we saw it at Monaco, but now you can really see the step up that Mercedes and Toro Rosso are trying to make to keep up with my development at Red Bull, and we're all trying to at least bridge the gap to Renault. Remains to be seen if that'll happen. I'm assuming that maybe at some point in this season there'll be a point where Renault may plateau for quite a few races, and that's where maybe the likes of Red Bull, Mercedes and Toro Rosso can catch up to them, and even maybe McLaren, because they're right there as well. And the big question down below is if Ferrari will actually make some progress down there, the performance chart, to even score their first points-paying positions in the career mode season, basically, of Season 6. But we go into Q1 then, very overcast conditions. Made the track quite cold in a way, so I got hit with a lot of understeer on this first lap. You can see into turn 1, missed that apex completely there. And as we go on through the lap as well, just not a very good one. In the hairpin, I get it all wrong and crossed up there. I don't know what it was. I think I took way too much confidence into the brake zone. I thought I could go a lot later on the brakes, and then as I changed down the gears, the car just would not slow down, so I lost a fair bit of time there. And so obviously usually Q1, the first lap's not too much of a worry anyway. It's always going to be a bit of a bank lap time. We find our feet on the second lap, so it's no worry. We're just going to go flying through the chicane, very aggressive, hitting the wall a tad, so lucky not to break any bit of our car, but across the line. And it's not a great lap time, I will admit. We're in P6 at the moment. I'll be eventually way down the order as we go through this session then, as we're going to wait till the end of the session, as we're trying to wait for a bit of a clear track there. Now, normally setting a slow lap time for the first flying lap isn't an issue in Q1. We can have a second run, but going into turn 1 here, our DRS fails on us and is stuck open through turns 1. Usually we've had a failure where we can't use it, but this time, unluckily, like we had, I think, back in Season 3, I want to say, or maybe even Season 2, the DRS has been stuck open here at Canada, and you can see having some major issues into that chicane at the very end of Sector 1, nearly smashing the wall and going out the session with a brake to our car. Thankfully, no damage still. It seems like the Red Bull car is very rock solid on the front end there, on the front axles of the tyres. But yeah, the DRS wide open. We actually gained some time on the back straight, but then look at how woefully slow we are, because you just lose so much downforce points on the rear end having that rear flap open. And so even on with advantage on the straights, we can't, you know, do any sort of competitive lap time. And so frustratingly, we have to trundle to the end, and we're down in P16, and we've not got any time left. On the top right, you can see, to come back in, fix the issue and go back out. And so yeah, just a little bit angry right at the end of the session, just kind of, you know, floating around on the track and just swiveling the steering wheel around in frustration, because we're out of qualifying in Q1. So the first time we've been out like that, it does give us one small advantage of we can get some free engine components maybe, but now this is going to be a real tough challenge. You know, I don't honestly know how good the Red Bull is going to be of getting through the grid. Of course, Verstappen made a great comeback from the back of the grid at Azerbaijan, but that was a very hectic Grand Prix in itself. I don't know how we're going to go. You know, we do have a decent power unit in the back of this thing, but at the same time, I have already got the sense of our car is quite draggy, and there's nothing I can really do with that right now, because the car's under parc ferme now, so I'm running the wings I'm running, which they're not high wings actually, they're pretty compromising ones, but still. So this is going to be a very interesting race to honestly see how far we can actually do it and how good our car is compared to the midfield in terms of traffic. But as I said, we are going to get one advantage of having an entire selection of free columns for the engine department. You can see we're already pretty bad on the MGU-H. We've got 2 orange components there and then 1 internal combustion engine. So this is very much going to help us later on in the season in terms of engine penalties. So a little bit of a silver lining there, but at the same time, I can't really sugarcoat it any more than that. It is still just a bit of horrendous bad luck, because, you know, what are the chances of the DRS failing on the second run there, where I didn't get the first run in quite well. I mean, even got sunnier on that second run. I think a big part of that was how cold the track was. Yeah, just a lot of bad luck. So I guess we'll just go to the starting grid then and see how everything else shapes up. You know, obviously this time around, I literally have no idea what the starting grid's going to look like now.
We're back once again beside the St. Lawrence River here in Montreal for the Canadian Grand Prix. The event first moved to a variant of this track back in 1978. It was won by none other than Gilles Villeneuve, the first Canadian to ever win his home race, and in whose honour the circuit would be renamed. With top speeds of around 210 miles per hour heading into the overtaking opportunity of turn 13, the 2.7 miles of the Circuit Gilles Villeneuve are some of the quickest on the Formula One calendar. There are 14 corners in total, with 60% of the lap taken at full throttle, and average lap speeds clock in at about 130 miles per hour. Anthony Davidson joins me again for the race today. Now I want to ask you about Esteban Ocon. As ever, the threat of unreliability is never far away, and indeed they'll be starting out of position today due to a power unit component change. So it's going to be a difficult task to move forward from there.
But on the bright side, at least those fresh components can help them maintain the power they need to come through the pack. I expect to see them take a more aggressive approach today to make up for the compromised start.
So let's have a look at the starting grid then ahead of the Canadian Grand Prix for Season 6 of F1 2018 career mode. A good day in the office in Q3 for Lewis Hamilton. He is the man on pole position in that much improved Mercedes car. Sergio Perez, though, with a very surprising second place on the front row. Then Carlos Sainz and Fernando Alonso, the two Spaniards, take up the second row. Nico Hülkenberg, Sebastian Vettel the next, and then Verstappen, Leclerc, Ricciardo and Pierre Gasly round at the top 10. Valtteri Bottas and P11 with Magnussen 12th. Hartley and Grosjean 13th, 14th. Van Dorn and Raikkonen in the next row. Lance Stroll and Sergei Sorokin take up that second last row, with the last row then saved up for Esteban Ocon and myself, both of us taking grid penalties there. Of course, I was already way down the order with that knockout in Q1. Right, here we are then in last place on the grid. It's only up from here from P20. So strategy-wise today for the race, we're going to go for a one-stop ultra soft tyres to the super soft, and that should give us some good track position. But at the same time, basing off last 2 seasons or so, the AI have been doing one-stops around Montreal as well. It kind of used to be more of a 2-stop race, especially on last year's game. But this year, they seem to be kind of making a one-stop work, even from hyper soft tyres. So we're basically just going to have to use pure pace, basically, to get past people and make those overtakes count on the actual track rather than strategy. So here we go then to 5 red lights to the Canadian Grand Prix. Round 6 of this season is going to be underway now, and it's a good getaway for us, but of course that won't mean too much because into turn 1 is going to be very tight, and getting past anyone is going to be very difficult as we try and make a dive to the inside of the Force India and the Williams. Now we can maybe make some moves on the outside of turn 2, then more real estate space to work with, but we do get hit on the rear end by Ocon there. You can see the warning for collisions. That's why my car kind of moved about on the rear end a little bit, because Ocon was trying to get a little bit too greedy. So up into P18 at least. Can we make a move now on Lance Stroll, I wonder, as Kimi Raikkonen struggles to get past the Williams as well there momentarily. We're now up into P17 and into the hairpin. We're going to go for a big old dive there as many cars get held up with a bit of a domino effect, and so we get past Raikkonen and we attempt to get past Grosjean, but he actually comes back at me then, so quite a surprise there, Roman. So we're going to have to try and overtake him now on the next straight. Then no DRS, remember, until lap 3, so just pure slipstream here, but looks like the Red Bull's not too draggy in a straight line to take the Haas on in a straight line round the outside. We go really late on the brakes there as we just about make it through the last chicane up into P15 with Brent Hartley next up in the McLaren then. So lap 3 we move on to. We're still not past Brent Hartley, so it's taken a long while, and actually that's why I'm saying that this might be quite a hard challenge for me to actually get through. But we got yellow flags up ahead for a car that's parked up on the left hand side there. It's Daniel Ricciardo is going to be out of this Grand Prix then, and so that is just from bad to worse. Can Daniel Ricciardo actually catch a break in this career mode? He moves from Red Bull to Renault to try and get a break from the reliability and bad luck Red Bull have had for 2 years in a row, where he started winning Grand Prix at the beginning and then slumped away from the championship fight. He moves to Renault, it all kicks off great with a win at Australia, and now he gets hit with an engine penalty here at Canada. He had a DNF at Monaco. It really is not going well for Ricciardo, and so it does look like for a 3rd season in a row maybe, Ricciardo is going to start off as maybe a potential challenger for the title and then fall away quite exponentially as we now make a very tasty switchback move on Brent Hartley. Catch him napping into the chicane. We're up into P13 now, so we are now starting to make some decent progress. Of course, gain 1 free position from Ricciardo being out of the Grand Prix, and so now we've got to try and chase after Valtteri Bottas, the Finn, in the new Sauber surroundings. Meanwhile, this is the lead of the Grand Prix. It's Hamilton still in first. Sergio Perez falling away quite a bit, and really these two in a world of their own. This is Carlos Sainz in the other Renault trying to take the lead for Renault here into turn 1, and he's going to beat down the inside. Could squeeze Hamilton out, but Hamilton gets the elbows out, to be fair. And so we've seen, you know, over the last 2 seasons, Mercedes have been on a bit of a rehab mission to try and improve and get back to the front. We've seen lately Mercedes have been putting in some points paying positions performances. Yes, I know the qualifying was a little bit glitched probably for Hamilton getting pole, but Mercedes do deserve to kind of be right up there now this season in the top 10 fight. And you can see clearly Hamilton is putting up a very decent challenge, because we're now halfway through this lap now on the new lap, and Sainz is still not passed. He's actually back behind Hamilton fully, and Hamilton's really parking the bus actually, because behind them Sergio Perez is closing up to them in 3rd place there. But I'm surprised Perez is actually still hanging on in 3rd place, because that Force India qualifying on the front row was definitely a bit glitchy. But Sainz now has to be patient through the hairpin. Then he's going to have DRS, and so second time of asking maybe. He didn't quite get the overspeed he needed on the previous attempt, so now we come through flexing the muscles of that Renault power advantage, that lightweight chassis as well. Here he goes now again on the outside. Oh, Hamilton with a very aggressive little jolt to the left hand side there on our camera, but Sainz pulls it through, doesn't get phased, and he's up into P1 now and takes the lead of the Canadian Grand Prix. We'll probably fly the flag for Renault and do justice for Ricciardo, what could have been really for him, because he had a pretty poor qualifying as well. So I don't know if Ricciardo got hit with issues in quali as well on Saturday, and that's maybe a continuation of that issue, as we now overtake Bottas very easily down the inside of the hairpin, and we're up into P12 now as we move in through to lap 6, with now Sebastian Vettel fighting very hard against Stoffel Van Dorn and Kevin Magnussen. So now a 3-way scrap. Could we get in the middle of this and make a 3-way pass? Let's see as we get really quite close now to Magnussen. Is Van Dorn and Vettel are going side by side and really holding each other up, but I can't really do much at the moment here. I'm just kind of sitting back with a bucket of popcorn trying to see if there's any kind of room to make any kind of pass. Van Dorn moving all over the back of Vettel trying to find some space, and Magnussen really been held up. We have DRS, Magnussen does as well, but we have the overspeed on the left hand side, a bit of a dive, but Magnussen goes for the dive and actually taps Van Dorn on the rear end, slows down the Belgian man. So very aggressive stuff there from K-Mag, and now he goes to attack Van Dorn. Van Dorn goes very defensive to the point where now we have an undercut on the Dane. We've got DRS open. We're going to try and get a second slipstream toe off Van Dorn and dive it to the inside of the Toro Rosso car to make it a double pass on this lap there into turn 2 on the outside there. Red Bull v Toro Rosso, Honda v Honda Power, and on the exit we're going to just about get that cut across on the racing line, defend the inside slot as Van Dorn has a little look on the outside, but nothing comes of it, and so we are up into P10. So that was very close and a bit nerve-wracking, because the way Magnussen dived down the inside of Van Dorn, that was yeah, that could have ended badly that we were involved in that, but thankfully we weren't. And so now we close up to Sebastian Vettel then. Lap 10 this is, so it took us about 3 laps to actually catch up to Vettel, and through the last chicane he is very slow to the point where I'm literally pushing him through. That's a figure of speech most of the time, but I actually literally pushed him through and was making physical contact with his gearbox there. So a bit of an over-aggressive move there needed, but Vettel was really just a turtle there, and a mobile chicane as we make the move into turn 1 eventually. And so yeah, kind of the mind boggles why it took 3 laps to catch up to him, because he was so slow once I got up to it. It's almost like he kind of bottled it as soon as he saw me in the mirrors there. But we now move up into P5 as people are making their first pits of the Grand Prix. Carlos Sainz, the race leader, remember, is out behind us now on Super Soft. So what did I say? Most AI will probably try a one-stop from hypers to supers, so I don't have any strategic advantage here. I need to just recover in this Grand Prix with pure pace, but because the race leader's right here, I can tell you I'm definitely not going to be winning this Grand Prix then. Sainz has got so much pace as well, and really it just means it kind of shows more of a shame that Ricciardo had a DNF here and qualified so badly, because Sainz just flies by us, and that Renault is really going quite well. I don't know what the specific upgrade Renault brought to this weekend was, but whatever it is has made that car click for Carlos Sainz, because he is so fast here. Hamilton's nowhere to be seen. He's in a world of his own pretty much, and I think he'll go on to win the Grand Prix. I can put money on that at this stage of the Grand Prix, I think on lap 12. So yeah, really unfortunate for the Australian man who moved to the Renault Works team. But anyway, back to us. We move on now to lap 13. We're in for our pit stop. We went for one more lap, but the Ultra tyres were actually performing really badly. I wanted to go to about lap 15, but actually the Ultras were just so bad. I think the Supers might actually work out better for us as a race tyre, which is a little bit odd, because usually generally I don't like the harder tyre compounds on F1 2018, the game in general. Any race weekend, I'd rather go on softer compounds, but those really weren't working towards the end of that stint with a lot of draining, I guess. So we're going to come out now out of the pit exit. We're very close, actually, to Charles Leclerc, which was the next car along on the grid anyway, after I overtook Vettel. So we actually gained some time, maybe, on the group as they're scrapping away. You can see there's a lot of cars on the minimap here. Leclerc goes for a move now. This is on the Haas. So now can we try and make a double pass down the inside? We go. It's a double overtake into the last chicane. Just about make it through. Yellow flags because I think that was Grosjean. I think Grosjean pushed Leclerc off track and Leclerc had to take evasive action to the sausage curbs, and that's why the yellow flag came out. So unfortunate for him, but obviously it was always going to happen, maybe 3 wide into that corner, but at least we didn't come out with any kind of damage or anything like that. And now lap 18, we're going to make a big old dive to the inside of Sergio Perez, and we're really getting a move on in this Grand Prix up into P7 now. And so the next man along is Pierre Gasly, the other Toro. So we've already taken his teammate. We move on to lap 19 then, and we're closing up now with DRS maybe. But I think Gasly fancies an overtake himself on Fernando Alonso, and the McLaren going quite slow on the straight here. Gasly round the outside, but Alonso dives him back. The two side by side. They're going to slow each other up, and look at that, a textbook switch to the left-hand side there, and that is probably the smoothest overtake I've made this entire race now. Lap 20, the double pass on Gasly and Alonso, never an easy pair to pass. Alonso, obviously, we know from real life, and Gasly on the game has been very aggressive towards us lately in the season or in a half gone by, and so a very nice move there, very satisfying indeed. So we're up into P5, Verstappen the next car along, but Gasly's got better ideas. He's going to fly by now with DRS there. I tried to fight him back into the chicane. We are going to still be side by side. He's going to squeeze a little bit towards the right. We get on the curbing though, and that was just really bad traction and oversteer on the curbings. My rear tyre just spins up, and so Gasly waltzes away into turn 1 and gets back into P5. We're down to P6, and unfortunately for me, I think Gasly has some very decent pace as we go on through this Grand Prix. Carlos Sainz then still leading the way, like I said, in a world of his own, dominating the Canadian Grand Prix in first place. Second place will still be Lewis Hamilton though, but he's a fair bit away. He's just doing his own thing really. Third place is Nico Hülkenberg. So both Mercedes cars, like I said, they've been showing signs of a bit of a rehabilitation in the last couple of seasons, and so those guys running 2 and 3 for the podium is really good. Verstappen next, and then Pierre Gasly here you can see in P5, myself in P6, still keeping Gasly honest in DRS, but pretty much for the entirety of this last stint, that was all I was doing. I was keeping Gasly honest, but I couldn't have that last bit of oomph in 8th gear to overtake him, which is why I think the Red Bull has natural, just drag on it. And unfortunately, remember, I showed you the R&D tree. I have no more drag reduction updates to do to this car, so I don't really know how to solve it. It might be a philosophy of having to run a lot lower wings than I think I need to on the Red Bull compared to my previous career mode cars, because this Red Bull's naturally quite draggy. And so we move on all the way to lap 30, still within 1 second of Gasly. Got DRS, but again, the same thing, same story. Keeping him honest, but just don't have any oomph in the corners as well to catch up enough to make a move on this straight. But look at the minimap, we've got a yellow flag situation there, and that might just spring something here as we wait, and there we go. This safety car is out there. As soon as I saw that yellow flag and the car going slowly, I thought, hang on, come on, please, 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 give me a safety car here. And it's come. Our prayers have been answered, and so now we're going to make a very tactical pit stop under the safety car here, but this is why it was called out then. Sebastian Vettel already strong in this Grand Prix, tail end of the points, but he slows down. Mechanical failure on the pit straight here. So I thought it was quite a soft safety car, to be fair though, because he is in, he's not affecting anyone here. He's just going slowly. He will eventually park up at turn 1, but I guess maybe that in itself is a dangerous spot to park up there. But yeah, he's just got some sort of mechanical failure, it looks like there, so he parks up. So the misery continues for Ferrari, and they won't be getting any points once again today at the Canadian Grand Prix. But like I said, this safety car now will give us opportunity. We're not going to, obviously we will bunch up, but I'm going to do one better than that. We're going to pit in, and we're going to go on to Hypersoft tyres. Remember, because I only did 2 laps in qualifying, I have all my Hypersofts left to use, so I have all fresh sets of Hypers. So we're going to go for a 3-lap sprint mode in this Grand Prix on Hypers. That's going to be mega, and we'll only lose 1 position to Stoffel Van Dorn, so very much worth it, because I am confident that something has to go wrong for us not to re-overtake Van Dorn at least, to get it back up into our original P6 here after the safety cars come in. So that's why I pit and didn't kind of just stay behind and bunch up that way, because you can see everyone else is way behind us. So now fresh Hypers, 3 laps remaining. We overtake Van Dorn hopefully very quickly, get on the back of Gasly, and then we have a very good chance of maybe even overtaking our teammate and making a very, very good recovery here at the Canadian Grand Prix. So here we go now on the restart. Safety car coming in this lap. The leader's actually already gone there. We've got blue flags as well because we've got a bit of a checkerboard of some slower cars in the mix here that are going to pull out on the left-hand side there. So a bit of an awkward restart for me, and I get caught napping a little bit on the entry to the chicane. So we're not right behind Van Dorn like I wanted to, but now through turns 2, look at the amount of grip we're going to get here compared to his old super soft tyres, the Hypers, coming in clutch round the outside there on turn 2. We're going to have to make a big old dive to make sure we keep ahead of him. And actually here, very aggressive move there, contact with Pierre Gasly, but Gasly held up there by the Williams car, going very, very slow. I think it's the Williams or Haas maybe. No, it's the Williams car. So yeah, Gasly gets held up by the blue flagged Williams, and so that allows me to send it down the inside. So yeah, maybe a little bit too over aggressive, but at the same time, I had nowhere to go at that part of the circuit, and Gasly himself was going slow because of this blue flag car. So in the end, just made the best of a kind of weird situation there into that kind of first chicane, or second chicane rather, and so we're up into P5, and now can we chase after our teammate Max Verstappen? I will say though, a bit of an odd situation breaking the fourth wall though, but there is a bit of a weird glitch right now where the symbol for safety car coming in is going to be stuck on our screen for the entirety of the rest of the race. Good old F1 2018, you know, about 500 patches later, and there's still got some issues like that on the screen there. Just ignore it. The safety car, obviously you guys know, is already in. As we move on now to the last lap of the Grand Prix, we're right behind Verstappen, but Gasly is not too far behind us as well. No DRS here, just slipstream I think, because I don't think it's activated quite yet. So now we've got enough ERS to work out with, rich mix as well. So we go up into overtake mode now as we go into 7th gear. Rich mix going, plenty of fuel. Obviously we saved a lot under the safety car, actually probably a bit too much we saved, and so now can we make a last ditch dive to the inside? Verstappen goes defensive, we go a little bit tentative into the chicane, but now on the exit Verstappen is slow, and here we go, we're going to go for a move maybe to the line, but look at Gasly come, he's going to try and overtake us, and so across the line us three are separated by less than maybe 3/10 there as we cross the finish line there. So ultimately, unfortunately, can't get P4. It's going to be P5 though, ahead of Pierre Gasly.
A great win then for the Renault team today. And I have to wonder, Anthony Davidson, just what set them apart from the competition here.
Well, time management probably played quite a large role in the outcome of this one. As ever, it's not just about speed, it's all about maintaining that speed consistently over a stint, over a race distance. So being able to keep up the lap times while still being smooth on the controls and gentle on the tyres, that's really where the race was won today.
So in the end, a very comfortable win then for Carlos Sainz in the Renault, but a very good race for the two Mercedes cars, I might say as well. And I'm very satisfied with P5, to be fair. Couldn't get Verstappen right at the end. You know, I maybe was a little bit too tentative into the chicane, but remember, he's my teammate as well. And we've had a very good sparring relationship, pretty much. We've had some great duels. I didn't want to dive it in there and be overly aggressive because, you know, he's deserved to be there. So that's why I was a little bit cautious, and that ultimately also gave Gasly a good run. So in the end, very exciting across the line, and so that means for the championship, Sainz now swings into the lead of the championship ahead of myself and Verstappen there. Constructors wise though, we're still looking good with Ricciardo's DNFs there. We're looking still quite surprisingly actually quite good, with now Mercedes moving back ahead of Force India and Sauber moving ahead of Haas and Ferrari, yet to score a point there. So a very interesting Canadian Grand Prix, shuffles things up, and definitely is that maybe the announcement of Carlos Sainz as a true title challenger here once again, like it was in season 5. Could it be a repeat, myself v Sainz, and maybe Verstappen joining in? Well, we go to the end of the episode then with some questions really. You know, the Red Bull car was, you know, we know it's been good over one lap. It's generally been quite a good car, but there definitely were some weaknesses there in terms of straight line and, you know, just being able to overtake cars sometimes. And it's frustrating because, like I said, there are no more drag updates we can do on this car. There are still plenty of engine power upgrades, but the thing is, we're still not really that bad on engine power, I don't think. And so I'm going to think about going for an ultimate chassis weight reduction here, because that will not only improve the acceleration, which was definitely an issue against Gasly and the Toro Rosso. The Toro Rosso has definitely had the best acceleration on the grid for like the entire last 3 seasons for some reason. It's just so good on traction. So I think this is going to be a positive step forward. You can see that will move us pretty much near enough to the same chassis level as Renault. You can see engine-wise, yes, we are down on power compared to those top 3, but we're ahead of most people on the grid, and yet we still felt a little bit slow in a straight line, which like I said, I don't know if that's a natural Red Bull feeling, so maybe I need to just try and change my philosophy of running lower wings than I ever did on any other career mode car, because the Red Bull's just naturally quite draggy. That might be a thing that we have to do, but definitely some questions to answer then for the next few races in terms of our out-and-out pace for overtaking cars in a straight line there. But guys, that's been a very entertaining Canadian Grand Prix episode, so guys, if you did enjoy it, hit that like button, let me know what you thought in the comments below. If you're new and do subscribe for weekly full-on content. I'm Fernando. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.